welcome to the session today, Power BI 101, everything you need to know about getting started with Microsoft Business Intelligence. My name is Natalie Trudell. I am the Marketing Manager at Corporate Renaissance Group. It is our pleasure to present this to you today. We are joined by your host and our Power BI expert, Saurabh Dasgupta. He's a BI Solutions Specialist, and I'm going to hand things over to him in just a moment. A little bit about Corporate Renaissance Group. We've been around for over 30 years now. We've been a Microsoft partner for close to 30 years, and we are our clients' one-stop shop for proven technologies to accelerate business and really transform the digital enterprise. So we offer a full gamut of solutions, everything from ERP solutions to BI to financial reporting and corporate performance management, all to help our clients get the most of technology. We have a group here of not only business experts, but technical experts who help to get everyone started and then to optimize. So if you would like to learn more about any of these solutions, you can definitely visit our website, crgroup.com. Today, the focus is Power BI. We're asked a lot about this solution. Everybody wants the visualizations, the reporting, and getting started, like I said before, is the first hurdle. So this session, we're going to go through everything you need to know about licensing, getting your data in there, starting to configure your reports, and we will be planning some more advanced sessions in the future as well, so that once you get comfortable in Power BI, we can kick things up and take it to another level. So with that, I'm going to pass things over to your host. Thank you so much, Saurabh, for doing this session today.
Wonderful, Natalie. That was really nice of you for this nice introduction. So hello, everyone, and a very good morning to all of you. And thank you very much for joining this webinar. So as you know, I'm Saurabh, and I'm going to take you through a very interesting journey from data to insights using the Microsoft's Power BI's visual analysis platform. So let's take a quick look at what we are doing today. Okay, so we'll understand what Power BI exactly is, and what different products it has, and then I will show you a demo. Okay, where I will be connecting to some data sources. I'll clean the data, okay, and then I will be creating some data relationships, models. I will create some visualizations, dashboards, and then I will also show you how this can be published for the broader audience, the end users. And at the end, we will talk about the different licensing options that Power BI has. Okay, so what exactly is Power BI? So it's basically a Microsoft's business analytics platform, okay, which gives you an end-to-end solution to carry out data analysis, find insights in your data, find hidden stories within your data, and then share with the end user. So here you connect to numerous data sources, you convert the data into a meaningful format, and then with the help of various inbuilt visualization templates, you create interactive reports and dashboards. So after you do that, the Power BI platform also has a secured and a governed environment where you centrally share all your insights with your stakeholders. So it's a place where people collaborate with each other, they perform self-service analysis, they also consume the dashboards that you're creating for them, and all this happens in a secured, governed, and trusted environment. Okay, so let's quickly take a look at the architecture. Okay, so you are a data analyst and you have got access to some data sources. It doesn't matter where the data sources are located. You're going to be downloading a product called as Power BI Desktop. Okay, this is a thick client application. You install it on your laptops or PCs, and this is a development studio where you're going to create your visualizations. Okay, now from this tool, you can connect directly to your data sources. Okay, this means the data sources and Power BI Desktop are talking to each other directly. There is nothing in between. But like direct connections are always having some challenges, like the database performance issues, the network issues, security issues, and many more such things, right? So in those cases, you have an alternative solution where you can import the data from the data sources and bring it locally within the Power BI Desktop model. And this is powered by a component called as Vertipack engine. Okay, so this is basically a database engine which is proprietary to Power BI, and it helps for faster query performances. It is designed to store the data in a compressed mode, and there are many more advantages when it comes to data cleaning, data visualization, creating data models, and things like that. So and once you connect to data source, okay, any data source, it will not be wrong to say that 80% of the time, maybe more than that, the data is never in a format or a structure which can be readily used for your analysis, right? So Power BI Desktop has another component which is called as Power Query. Okay, this is a component within the Power BI desktop which is specifically designed for cleaning your data, for transformation of your data, so prepare the data which can be ready for analysis, right? So with the direct query options, you have certain limitations, but if you do an import data, it gives you an immense power, and there are a lot of options to clean and transform your data and make it ready for so that you can start building a visualization. So once you have connected, once you have cleaned the data, the next step is you are going to be creating your charts, creating your reports, and then this is the time for you to start sharing with end users. So Power BI has another component or another product which is called as Power BI Service. This is actually the SaaS offering by Microsoft. It is currently on Azure. And what happens here is when you publish all your visualizations, the reports, and the data sources get published onto the server platform. Okay. And this server can actually has an ability to go back and connect to your data sources through the help of another component which is called as Power BI Gateway. This is required because the data sources you're publishing here must be refreshed with the data which is changing at the source level, right? So data is always latest, and this is how you publish it. And then the end users will come in, they will use the browsers, or they will use some specific apps designed for your mobile devices. Using that, they will log into the Power BI service, they'll enter the credentials, and they will consume the dashboards, they will consume the data source and start performing their self-service analysis. They can collaborate with each other, and there are many more things these people can do over there, right? So this is a natural life cycle of a Power BI analytics platform. But sometimes your organization may say we are not ready to go to cloud, like we don't want to publish our data sets on the cloud. Okay, so there's an alternative option available which is called as Power BI report server. This is an on-premise version of a server platform, and by the way, this is also a web-based platform, just like the Power BI service, but this has some limitations. It is actually built on the SQL Server reporting services technology, but it has some limitations because it doesn't have all the features which are available in Power BI service. And it also has a licensing implication, and I'll be talking about that later. And one more thing we have to remember, that if you want to publish your reports to the on-premise server, you need to have a different version of the Power BI desktop. So when you download, you have to carefully download the correct version, right? So this is at a high level the architecture of Power BI. And now we are going to the demo, and I'm actually going to show you this particular component, the desktop and the Power BI query, and then I will also show you how you publish to Power BI service and what end users can do over there, right? So for the demo, I have created a hypothetical use case. So let's assume that we are like I'm working in a sales. I'm working in a company, like in a supermarket chain company, where we have chains of supermarkets across the country, and we are selling a lot of grocery products in the entire country. And I'm a sales analyst, and I'm expected to do some sales performance analysis, right? So I contacted the department which manages my data, and I asked them to give me the data for all the sales transactions that they are doing. So they give me a CSV file, a dump, okay, which has sales transactions for the last, I think, 4 years. It also has the data for all the regions in consideration, and we're assuming that we are doing this in United States of America, right? So we are only selling in USA, and this file has. When I looked at the file, it has individual sales transaction. Like I have an order number, I have the date when the order was placed, I have the customer code, I know where this transaction is taking place, I know which product is being sold, how much revenue I'm generating, the quantity sold, discount given, and profit I am, making out of that each transaction. So when I was looking at this data, I saw the two fields like customer code and product code. I actually wanted the names. I actually wanted the respective customer names and product names. So I got a couple of more data sets from this department. So one of the data set was an Excel file which has the details of all my products. Okay, so I have a product code. It's a typical Excel report kind of a thing, right? So I have a product code. I know the name of the product, then I know which type it belongs to, which product group it belongs to. So I have the entire hierarchy, but because this is an Excel and for some reasons there are merged cells, okay, it's kind of a report. I have headers. Doesn't look like a proper data, but we'll fix it, okay? And the other data set which I received is the details of the customers, and for some reasons it is given to me in the form of an SQL Server database. Okay, so this is a SQL Server database called Power BI Demo. Within that, I have a table called Customer Master, and that's how it looks like. So I have a customer key, and for each of the key, I have the customer names. Okay, now I want to start analyzing these three data sets together, the first thing you have to do in Power BI is to connect to these data sources, right? I have installed the Power BI desktop on my laptop, and when I open, this is the home page, or this is the first screen that appears to me, right? And I'm going to be clicking on this get data button. But before that, if you look at the screen on the center, this gives you a lot of options to you can click on the various links, and it will take you to the resources where you can find more information about Power BI, learn more about Power BI, see some videos. And if you're okay with that, you can get started by directly clicking on this get data button, right? So when we say get data, it's now going to show me all the inbuilt connectors which are available within Power BI. Okay, it's taking some time on my laptop. Yeah, it's there. So you've got you've got file-based databases, you've got databases like you have SAP, IBM, SQL Server, Oracle, you have the cloud databases like Amazon Athena, you also have Snowflake, and all other options are available. You also have all the Azure data sources available here, right? But my data source is a CSV file, so I click on the file, I click on text CSV, I say connect, and now it's asking me where is your file located. So I quickly, it remembers the last location I selected, right? So I didn't have to navigate. So I'm going to quickly click on this CSV file, and now it is going to load the data for me and show me a quick preview. Okay, that this is the data, this is how it looks like, and it has loaded the first 200 rows for my reference, and I'm thinking everything looks good. Let's start connecting it. Now I have two options at the bottom. It says load or transform data. Now load is basically where you think your data is absolutely fine, no cleaning to be done. You just click on load and start creating charts. Okay, but it is always a good practice to click on transform data, because you never know, I mean, if there are any data challenges or not, right? So even though you think data is correct, I always prefer this option to transform data. And when I click on that, it actually goes into that Power Query editor window. Okay, this Power Query is basically the data transformation component, right? We are still in the Power BI environment. If you see that, the left hand side, this screen is the Power BI desktop, but I actually opened the Power BI query within the desktop. So now it shows that I have connected to the file, right? In the Power BI world, we call them queries, and I can see the column names appearing here from the CSV file. And whenever you click on any column, right, it also gives you a quick analysis of, or quick statistics about how the data is distributed with that column. So I can see there are 4 regions. If I for example click on the customer code, it tells me that how many records I have, how many distinct values I have, how many unique values I have, and it gives you a very quick understanding of how my data is structured within each of the columns. And if you see on the top, there are so many options available here. You can use to transform your data. It's really powerful tool. You can clean your data, and there are a lot of inbuilt uh, rules available for you to select from, right? You can also right click and start cleaning. So when I'm looking at this data, uh, and if you see, data types have been assigned by Power BI to all the columns, but for some reasons, not some reasons, I know the reason. So when I look at the sales column, it is an ABC. ABC means a text data type. And this is happening because I have this USD as a text in front of the numbers, right? So I actually wanted to change it because I want to treat this column as a number. So I have to clean it now, right? What do? I'm going to right click on this, okay? And you can see there are many more options here, but I'm going to select the one that I need right now is split column. Okay, I'm saying split this column into two parts, remove the USD and remove the number part, and I'm going to select, okay, it automatically determines that there is a space in between, and I'm saying, all right, no further changes to be done here, just click on OK. And now you'll notice that the same column has been split into two. And if you have also noticed on the right hand side what's happening, each and every step we are doing is recorded. Okay, when we connected, these are the steps added by Power BI automatically. So when I go back to the previous steps, I can see it's still the sales column with ABC data type, but then I split the column, so I can see the split, right? When I click on the last step, I see Power BI automatically also changes the data type for me, okay, which was really nice. And now I'm saying I don't need this USD column, so I can simply right click and remove it. And you'll notice the step is added here. And I'm going to do one more change here is just double click on that column header. And instead of calling it sales 2, I'm going to call it sales. Okay, and the step is also added over here. So it's kind of a documentation for you where it's always going to be available for you. Whenever you open this Power BI file, you can come to this Power BI query editor. You'll always see these steps over here. So you understand, what is the rule you have applied to clean this data. All right, so my first data source is clean. So I have an option now. I can close this window, go back to Power BI desktop, then again, load the second data source, come back to Power BI query and clean it. Or I have an option here that while I'm in the Power Query window, I can still start continuing data sources. Okay, so I can connect to data sources from both the places. I'm doing it from the Power Query now. So I'm clicking on the new data source, and my product master is in Excel. So I'm going to click on Excel, and let me just quickly navigate to that Excel file, which is called product master. Let me double click on that, and now it will load a different interface, not like the one which happened with the CSV file. It shows the Excel file, it shows the sheets available within the file. When I'm clicking on it, it also shows me a quick preview, and I can see that there are a lot of null values, and I know why this is happening because of those merge cells, right? So anyway, we'll fix it. So I'm going to click here, and now we don't see that load data or transform data option because we are already in the Power BI query window, right? It's always in the transform data mode. So I'm going to click on OK. It'll go back to query Power Query window again. Okay, so here I have the product master query. I can see the preview over here, and now let me quickly fix this data. So I don't need the first two rows, right? So I'm going to click on a shortcut button here which says remove rows, and I'm saying remove the top two rows from my data source. I'm done, and this step is added on the right hand side. The rows are removed, and if you notice that this is actually my header. Okay, so I need to have this as a header. This is not part of my data. So I'm again going to click on another option here which says use the first row as headers. That becomes my header. Data types have been assigned. And now the interesting thing, how do I fix these null values, right? So I need to have this first product fill down to the entire all the null values here until it gets another one, right? So I have to fill down. So I have a fill down option in Power BI where I simply have to right click and go to fill and simply say down, and I'm done, right? Let me just do it for the second column so it will be easier for you to understand. Fill down, the steps are adding here, and you can see that the first product is repeated, the second product is also repeated, and I think it's done. All right, so my second data source is also clean. So far I have not written a single line of code. I'm simply using different options. Okay, and now let me quickly also connect to the third database, which is my SQL server. So I click on the SQL server option. It's asking me the server name, so let me quickly enter those parameters. Okay, it has to be correct, and I think I remember the database name. All right, now at this point in time it shows me, do you want to do an import data or you want to connect using a direct query? It did not ask me when I was connecting to Excel or text files, right? Now you have to remember that whenever you work with file data sources, Power BI always does an import query. Okay, that's the default option. You cannot do it direct because with files, direct query has a lot of challenges, a lot of limitations. Okay, so it's always the default option to do an import data. Even with the SQL server, I will not do a direct query because when I do import, there are a lot of things that automatically happens for me, and I will be showing you that in some time. Okay, so it's always the better option. Like the default option here, there would be situations where you would go do a live connection. So we will not discuss in details about that, but for this demo purpose I'm just doing an import here. Okay, and I'll show you why I did that in a couple of minutes later. So let me just click on OK now, and we know why we are not seeing that load data, transform data. It says something wrong with the credentials. So let me just quickly enter a different credential here. Let's see if it works. I entered a wrong name. Okay, sorry. So let me click on connect. I think it should work now. So it's now trying to establish the connection to my SQL Server database. So let me just retry. So local host, Power BI demo, import, say okay. Whenever we do demos, you always face things, challenges like that. Your system takes a lot of time to do things. Okay, now cool, it connected. So I can see the database name, I can see the table name, customer name, a preview. I'm going to click on OK, and you're done. Okay, the customer master file also appears here. Now this looks clean. I don't have to really clean anything over here. So now I'm done with my data preparation activity using the Power Query. The next step is I have to apply these rules and go to Power BI desktop to start creating my visualization. So I'm going to click on this button on the extreme left hand side which says close and apply. Okay, and this is the time when the actual cleaning is happening. So it is now loading all the data sources and applying all the steps one by one and transforming the data and loading into the Power BI desktop environment. Okay. So whatever we were doing in the Power Query, it was just a preview. It was just to show you that this is how it will take place. Now the actual cleaning is taking place. All right. It will take some time depending upon what machine you're working on, whether you're doing a demo or just doing it for yourself. So yeah. All right, now you see on the right hand side, all my tables are connected, data sets are connected, and I can see the respective field names under each of the queries, right? But before you start creating visualizations, there's one more thing is very important that you need to do, because we have multiple data sources which are connected to each other, linked to each other. You have to make sure that your relationships are defined properly. Okay, Power BI has done something by default, but I don't know whether that is correct or not, right? So if you see the left hand side, right now we are in a report mode. Okay, there's another mode here which is called as the model mode. Okay, so when I click on this model, it shows me, let me just make it a little bigger so we can see it clearly. Just give me 1 second. I'll just bring the tables close and click on this button. All right, so what happens here, based on the, and this happened automatically because we imported the data into Power BI's Vertipack engine. So Power BI can have some intelligence to suggest you what kind of relationship you have in the data, right? So if you see, customer master has been linked to the sales data, and let me just double click on that linking. And this is just to verify whether Power BI did it correctly. So I can see that from the sales data, customer code has been linked automatically to customer key, and it has also determined the cardinality. Like I don't have to worry about it. Like one customer code is appearing multiple times in that first database, and in the customer master, this customer key appears only once. So this is a many to one relationship, and we don't have to worry about, right? Everything is done correctly by Power BI. So let me just click cancel. And similarly, you have to again click on the other relationship and make sure this is correct. So product code is linked to product code, many to one, everything is correct. So I don't have to worry about it. But this is very important. Okay, this is where you create relationships. This is where your data models are created. Okay, that's very important when you work with multiple data sources. Otherwise, your visualization will give you wrong information, right? Let me go back to the report mode now. So I'm ready, all set to start creating my visualizations. So let me show that to you with an example. So I want to find out what's my total sales in the last 4 years. Okay, how do I do that? I have different options. So I can you see that sales field appearing here. I can simply click on that checkbox. I can drag the sales into the canvas here, or I can select any one of the chart type which are available here, and then bring the fields into the chart type to be shown there, right? So before that, if you also notice that this is a Power BI desktop file, all right? And right now we are in a page. This is called page one. So page is nothing but a canvas or a place where you can have multiple visualization. It's a collection of multiple charts or visualization which are related to each other, and you want to holistically present some information to your end users, right? So this is how you create pages in Power BI. So I am on page one, and I'm going to drag this sales somewhere in between, right? It'll automatically show me some chart. Okay, it shows me that this is my sales. How do I know this is my total sales or this is my average sales, right? So whenever you drag and drop any numeric field into the graph, any graph, uh, let me just make it a little bigger. Yeah, you will see an option here. If you see a panel here, this is where the entire chart is being controlled. And if you see here at the bottom, the sales value is in the values, and Power BI selected a clustered column chart automatically. It could be, I can go and change it to a different chart also, right? I can click on different options to change the type, but I wanted to show you that if I click on the sales field, these are the different aggregations available, and by default, it will always do a sum for you, right? You can change it to average, minimum, whatever. So I'm just keeping it sum because I wanted to see the total sales. That's my total sales. And then you can click on different options to change. Oops, sorry, let me just delete it. I can click on the graph. I can change it to a pie chart, donut chart. But when you have to show just one number, I really like one visualization, which is called as card. Okay, I really love it. So you can simply create these kind of small boxes or small card which just shows you the total sales, right? Similarly, you can add another card. So I'm now clicking on that card first so that I can place it wherever I want it, and then you can drag the value inside that card to show that number, right? So this is one way of seeing your numbers. Okay, but I wanted to do something more, right? I want to create some more visualizations. I want to see my total sales broken up by my products. Okay, again, you can select. So let me do it in a different way. So let me just now say I actually want a horizontal bar chart. So let me click on that. Okay, then I will resize, or I'll put it in a place where I really want that product to be shown. Once I do that, the next thing is I can control this chart from here. I don't have to even drag and drop. Sometimes you can say, okay, I want to see the product group and their sales. So I can go to the appropriate data source, drag the columns, and if I know where to drag it and drop it, I can do it. But if you're doing it for the first time and if you don't remember, you can drop it onto the chart. Okay, you have all the options available, and you have to drop the sales or profit also, because otherwise you will not see the product names over there. Let me just drag the sales and drop it onto the chart. It'll start showing you the bar chart, right? And if you see this panel again, there's another option here, the format option, where you can control the behavior or the appearance of this chart from here. There are so many options. You can go to each different options and customize it, like the size, the font, the titles, appearance, right? But what I'm doing now is I'll just quickly click on this data labels, okay, so that I can see the actual sales numbers also. And maybe I'll just make it a little bigger. So I'm clicking on that and just making it 12 points so I can see the numbers correctly, right? All right, so I know which two product groups are really, really doing good. I want to drill down now. I want to have my product types also. What do I do now? Just drag the product type. While you are in the chart, drag the product type and put it after the product group here, right? And you will start seeing these buttons appearing on the top. This is for drilling down. So if I click on these two buttons, it drill down to the product type. Okay, I can come back. I can actually click on another drill down option where it shows me the combined name of the group and the type, right? So it's up to you how you want to drill down. So I'm going to click on this button so I can see the top product types, and I can tell you these three products are really doing good as compared to other products. I'm done, right? So just by dragging and dropping, customizing it from this pane, you can create charts, right? Let me show you one more interesting thing. So a question comes to my mind now. I'm saying, okay, I know these are my top products by sales, but are these the same products? Like same products are also top in terms of profit? Like how is the profitability in my data set? So I can create another chart and I can bring the profit over there, and I can compare both the charts one by one. But there's a nice way that you can do in Power BI. So click on the chart. I'm going to click on this format button. Okay, I'm going to click on the data colors. Now right now the colors are blue, that's hard coded, right? I'm going to click on this function button. So I'm going to apply a rule for the colors. Okay, we'll wait for the dialog box to come. All right, so here there are different ways you can apply that color rule. So this could be like conditional formatting, like you can apply some conditions, but I'm actually selecting a color scale. This is the gradient I'm going to create, but not by the sales. I want to do it by, let me just search for the field. I want to do it by profit. Okay, sum of profit. And I'm saying have a diverging color palette, because I know some numbers are negative, some numbers are positive. So I want that whenever you have a negative value, I want to show that maybe in orange color. Okay, there are a lot of color palettes available. And I'm saying when it is very, very high profitability, maybe I'll show it in a dark blue color. And I want the center number to be 0. So I'm just putting it over here. And this could be like a white. Let me just select the gray color. Okay, so that's the color gradient, and you now know that you can customize this color palette, according to your color preferences, right? I prefer orange blue because that's like the supposed to be the best one in visualization best practices, right? So click on OK, and now you will see that though dry fruits were really doing good in terms of generating sales, but they're definitely not good in terms of profitability, because that's orange color, right? And I can see that this product is good, very, very good. So very quickly, without changing the structure of the graph, I have added another information, right? So this is one way of adding information, adding insights on your data, on your reports. And so far I have not created any code, right? Let me show you one more interesting thing. I'm saying, you know what, I want to see how this product, like this is the total sale, but what is the trend of the sales over time? Like, are the sales fluctuating? Do we have exceptions? Is it growing or not growing? I want to see that trend, right? Now, let me show you something very interesting. So you remember we imported the data, like Power BI by default imports the data from the files, right? And when you do that, and if you have a date field, it automatically creates a hierarchy for you starting from year to day, right? Now I want to see a trend, so I know that line chart is a better option to do that. So I'm going to click on the line chart. I'm going to bring it where I want to see it, and now I'll drag and drop. So I will drag the date hierarchy within that. I will drag the sales within that, and immediately I will see a year trend. Like it starts from the first year and goes to the last year, and I see that's what my trend is. I can drill down to quarter levels because that's the second level here. I can drill down to month. I can drill down to days, right? Let me stay at the month level because this shows me a nice trend. I see there are a lot of fluctuations, and ultimately I'm growing up, right? And I'm saying because we are doing profit versus sales, why don't I also bring the profit over here? So let me just quickly customize this line chart. So I click on the line chart. You can find there are different options available here. See, there are different placeholders where you can bring multiple fields to customize this graph. So what I'm doing now is uh, just bring the profit, okay, and put it in the secondary value. So it's a secondary access chart, the way you create in Excel, right? I just dragged and dropped and I'm done. So I can see how profit and sales are going hand in hand. And now the good part here is whenever you have any reports, any visualizations on the page, they're automatically linked to each other. What do I mean by that? If I click on dry fruits, you will see all the charts are reflecting the value of dry fruits. Okay, it shows that's a highly negative profitable, and that's the trend of sales. I click on the second product, it shows me the trend of that product, and each graph here is linked to each other. If I click on something here, it will show the sales and the profit. It will show the you see some shades over here. It shows the contribution of that particular day in the sales, right, and in the profit. So that's how these reports are interactive. Like you can just bring the visualization and automatically they become interactive. You can customize it. I'm going to show you that in some time. All right, so let's say I'm done with this first page. I've done a quick sales overview. I'm going to call this uh, page as sales overview. So I just had some understanding of how my sales are happening, but now I want to do some extra things. I want to deep dive. I want to do some bring in additional measures to do some calculations, right? How do I do that? I'm going to click on this plus button to go to a new page. All right, and here let me just bring in the customers. Let me just go to the customer table, drag the customer names. Let's do some customer analysis. Okay, and I'll also bring in the, where is my sales? Okay, so let me drag and drop the sales. And if you notice now, Power BI decided to use the table chart type, right? So by default, Power BI will do something. You can always go and customize it. I'm going to keep it table, and I'll also uh, quickly make these numbers look a little bigger. Okay, it's not very small, so I'll just make it like 15 points. Yeah, it's visible now clearly. Okay, so these numbers are aggregated at each customer level, right? So this 277 is the total profit at that customer. I want to calculate the profit margin. So in the sales world, there's something called as profit margin, which is like the total profit divided by the total sales. It will give you a percentage. That's my profit margin, right? How do I do that? And I want this calculation to be like dynamic. I want this to be happening at each customer. Tomorrow, if I change this customer and bring a different dimension, for example, if I am looking at sales and profit at product types, I want that calculation to be happening at the product type level. Okay, so whatever dimension I have in the visualization, if my calculations have to be at that level, Power BI gives you an option to write your expressions like that. So I'm going to click on this data source here, the three dots. Okay, more options. It's going on the top. Let me just make it smaller so I think the menu will appear correctly. Let me click again. Yeah, so this new measure allows me to write some calculated expressions of a formula, and the underlying engine that allows you to write all the expressions in Power BI is called as DAX. Okay, DAX is data analysis expressions. It's vast, it's immensely powerful, it is very flexible, it gives you a lot of functions and you can customize it anyway, and you can really do a lot of deeper and complex analysis using those DAX functions. But today I'm going to show only some simple things, and I'm creating a new measure in my data, so in the Power BI model. I'm going to call it as profit margin, and this could be a simple division like total profit by total sales. Generally, I could have simply written that formula here, but I'm using a function here. We generally use this function because For whatever reasons, if your sum of sales value is 0, the division will give you an error message, right? So using this function will automatically handle the situation. So I'm just moving a step ahead and doing, for the safety reasons. So and then I have to write what is your uh, numerator. So I have to type sum because I want sum of the profit values, right? Let me just quickly type in. So Power BI will show me the options and I can choose it from there. Bracket close. The next parameter to be given here is sum of my sales. And let me just quickly double click on that. I need one more bracket. I think I need one more bracket. Yeah, so I can see that this is highlighted. That means my calculation is completed. Let me press enter. And I will see on the right hand side, this profit margin expression gets added over here, right? This is an indication that this is the measure, calculated measure. Now I'll simply drag and drop it over here. It's going to evaluate the calculation on the fly here based on what I'm showing. Let me just also click on the profit margin and convert this to percentage. And I'm done. So I know that. And let me show you something interesting. So let me click on the sales and let's see the high sales to low sales. I can see that this guy is generating a lot of revenue, but is look at the profit margin is minus 8%. Okay. And for some of the customers, I have high profit margin and so on. So one piece of analysis is done, but then some more questions are coming to my mind. Let me quickly show you that. That's also interesting. So I want to find out like these customers. Oh, sorry. I think I clicked something. Yeah. So for this guy, I know the profit margin is very, very low, but why this is happening? So I want to find out what different transactions this guy is doing. For example, this guy might have generated, let's say 20 transactions. And out of 20 transactions, 15 transactions are like profit making, the 5 may be loss making transactions. I want to have just that breakup, right? I want to see that breakup. So what do I need to do? It's like, going back to your Excel file, like going back to your CSV file, adding a new column here, right? And then go to each record and find out this number and flag it. So the first one would be like profit, the second one would be loss, then profit, then loss. I want to flag each record in my data, right? And for that, Power BI gives you an option to write a calculated expression, and that is called as new column. Okay, so when I click on new column, again, the underlying engine is still DAX. Okay, and using DAX, I'm going to write a new column here, and let me just call it as profit check. And here I will simply write a standard if statement that you have been doing in Excel, right? So it's like if, and here I will say profit. I will not say sum of profit because I want to happen this at a record level, right? So I'm writing profit is less than 0. Then I want to comma. Yeah, it's an Excel type syntax. So I'm saying if it is less than 0, flag it as loss. And if it is more than 0, you can call it as profit or whatever you want to call it. You can give your flaggings, right? And when it is done, just click OK, and you will see on the right hand side, profit check new measure, a new column has been created, and the icon is a distinguisher. You know what is column and what is measure, right? And then I will not disturb this visualization. I'll just drag and drop it. So this is just like a new dimension for me, right? I just drag and drop it somewhere here on the page. It shows me loss and profit because I have two columns. Let me show you something interesting. See, on the left hand side, we saw the model, we saw the report, right? There's something called as data panel also. So when I click on the data tab, it shows me the preview of the data sets I've connected to. Let me click on the sales transaction. Notice this last column. That's the profit check column I added, right? So it actually does it for each of the rows. So I've got two values. If I click on this filter, loss and profit, right? I don't see the profit margin over here because that is done at an aggregated level. Okay, let me go back to the report and I just want to see how much sales I'm generating by profit and loss. In fact, I'm going to change this to a different visualization. Why not a donut chart? Okay. Uh, okay, let me do one more quick change. I always prefer uh, colors to be perfect because I want the loss transactions to be highlighted. So I'm just quickly going to the loss and making it like a red color. All right. So what it shows me right now is this is the customer. When I click on this customer, I want this graph to be showing me only the breakup of this customer. Now, the default way of interacting in Power BI is like it's showing me the proportion, where the customer is contributing, but I don't want that. I want this donut chart to be filtering completely, right? So let me just quickly modify this interactivity. So I'm going to click on the format button. Let me go to the edit interactions, and I'm going to say that whenever I click something on this customer chart, do not highlight. This is the default thing here. I'm saying filter the donut chart, please. Okay, so once I am done, if I now click on any customer, it will show me the breakup. So when I click on the first customer, I see there are a lot of loss making transaction. When I click on some other customer, it says, okay, a lot of profit. transaction, but the margin is very, very small, right? So very quickly, I have another page which shows me some customer related data. So maybe I'll say this is customer analysis. Okay. All right. Don't. Yeah. So we have there are many more things we can do on this Power BI, but due to the time constraint, I'm not showing you each and everything. So let's assume that we are done with our analysis. We have this sales overview, we have this customer analysis. Now this is the time for us to start sharing it on to the Power BI service platform for my end users. Right now, before that, I'm going to save this file. So let me click on the save. Let me click on the save button. I'll just save it somewhere here. By default, uh, the the extension of the file that you're saving is PBIX. So let me just call it as my sales data analysis, right? So this file will now contain my data. It will contain the visualization. And now I'm going to click on this publish button on the right hand side. And when I do that, it will give me a dialog box. Did I click? So when I do that, this dialog box comes in here. And what are these things? Whenever you publish to the service, the cloud platform, you need to have a something called as workspace. Okay, workspace are nothing but you can call them as a folder, you can call them as logical containers. Okay, uh, these logical buckets or containers are in Power BI service, and that is where you have to start publishing your content. You cannot publish anywhere. It has to be in some bucket, some workspace, right? Every user gets this my workspace. This is basically the very similar to my documents in Windows. So every user get this my workspace where you can publish your content. You can just save it over there. Alternatively, if you have created other folders or other containers, you will see the list over here. If somebody else has created workspaces for you and given you access, you will also see those lists over here. Okay, now I'm just going to the my workspace because that's my space. Okay, and click on my workspace, and I'm going to click on the select button. What will happen now, the Power BI report, the PBIX file is now traveling all the way to that Azure My Workspace location, and all my data will be saved there. It says it's success, right? Because it was a small file, so it just took a couple of seconds. And now I can click on this link to go to the Power BI service and see how it looks like. All right. Now, when I click here, I had already logged into the Power BI service before, so it is not asking me my credentials. I logged in. Automatically you can see a beautiful picture of mine on the right hand side. So it's my account, verified, and the report looks exactly the same. I was seeing it in Power BI desktop. It is still interactive, right? So report is published here, and now you can start sharing. So this is the interface when you log into the Power BI service. When you look at a report here, you can start sharing. You can click on the share. You can enter the email IDs of the people. You can enter the email IDs of the groups to which the report should go to. You can also copy the link which will be generated here and send it to anybody outside your organization. Okay, but please remember, anybody who you want to share to, they should have a proper licensing. I'm going to talk about that in some time. Even I should have a proper license to start sharing. All right, not anybody can start sharing on Power BI service by default. So this is how you share, and there are a couple of other options, like you can subscribe this report to be sent to you regularly on your email, right? You can also do that if you don't want to log into Power BI service every day and see this dashboard, right? So you can subscribe yourself. You can export it to different mechanism. uh, Let me show you one more interesting thing. So this is a report, okay, on Power BI service, and let's assume that I have created a lot of reports here, like sales reports, finance report, marketing reports, HR reports, right? And I, being the head of all the departments, or whatever, I manage all the departments, so I have some important KPIs to monitor every day. So I cannot open each report and see it, right? It will take a lot of time. So I have an option where I can select the visualizations which are important for me and pin it to one separate place. For example, I can go to this visualization. I have this pin button, and I click here. I can create a new dashboard on Power BI service. Let me just call it as my uh, dashboard one, whatever. Okay. And when I say pin, a new dashboard is created. If you look at the left hand side, that's the navigation pane for me. If I click on this my workspace under the dashboard, you will see the one that I recently created. See my dashboard one, right? And then I can go to another report and I can say, okay, this donut chart is very important for me. So I can click on this pin and I can add it to that demo dashboard, my dashboard one, right? And similarly, you can go and open other reports, marketing reports, and select visualization and pin it over there. And if you access the dashboard now, you will see the visualizations all over here. So these visualizations can come from different reports, different data sets, all placed together in one place, and we call them as dashboards. Okay, these can also be shared with end users because you don't want them to see the entire report. Just share the dashboard with them. So this is another feature on Power BI service. And then you have the navigational pane where you can navigate to different places from here, right? I've also shown you how you can share the reports. There are many more things we do on Power BI service, but today we're just focusing on the basic stuff. Okay, so we have just witnessed, like, using the Power BI desktop and query, we connected the data travel all the way to the end users through different products, different stages, right? And we performed our analysis as a developer. We shared this with end users on the Power BI service. So now let's quickly go back and take a look at what different licensing we have. Okay, so I'm going back to my presentation now, and let's take a look at the licensing options. The first one is, yes, you are reading it correct. It's free. Okay, so this is the free version available. So you can download the the Power BI desktop. You can download and just use it for yourself. You can connect to data sources. You can create your visualizations. You can publish it onto Power BI service also. So you will only have that My Workspace on that Power BI service. So it's like a personal sandbox. Okay, you're just doing something for yourself. You want to evaluate Power BI, use it for free for some time, right? But the moment you want to scale up, you want to start sharing with others, you have to buy, you have to pay Microsoft for that, and that is the Power BI Pro licensing. Okay, that comes as a $10 per user per month. So this is exactly, it gives you everything that the free user can do, but the only difference here is you can share contents with other, and others can also share with you. So if you are a pro user, you can collaborate with others, right? So this is the minimum requirement for anybody to get started if you want to really scale your analytics to just from a single user to multiple users, right? So now if you see, both of these options are shared capacity. Now, what is the meaning of shared capacity? And these are per user licenses. Like if you have 20 users, you pay for 20 users. And shared capacity means on the Azure platform, you get a shared place. Like the resources used for your Power BI applications are going to be shared with other users, other Microsoft applications, and it's a shared capacity, right? So you will have some limitation in terms of performance, the data, and everything. And this works well if you are a small scale industry. If you have less number of people, less number of data sets, no problems, you can get started. But think of a situation if you are like a big enterprise, you have a lot of databases, a lot of users, heavy workload, then Power BI has another option called as Power BI Premium per capacity. So this is the capacity licensing mode, which means you get you don't pay for users here, you pay for a dedicated node. It's like, the nodes come in the predefined bundles. Like there's something called as P1. So P1 means you will get dedicated 8 virtual CPUs and 25 GB RAM. And for that 8 CPUs, you're going to pay $5,000 per month. Okay. If you want a bigger infrastructure, you can go for a P2. P2 means 50 GB RAM and 16 virtual CPU cores. You will pay $10,000, right? But then it doesn't restrict on number of users who can consume the content. So it gives you it restricts you only on the number of resources you can have, but then you can allow any number of users to log in and consume your reports. But you have to remember that, for example, your organization has, let's say, 20 users who are going to be creating reports, and let's say there are 5,000 users who are going to be consuming. So for those 20, you still need a per user licensing. Okay, it has to be any kind of a per user license, like the Pro, and there's another one I'm going to talk about in some time. You need that, but for the users who are going to be consuming, you don't need any licenses for them. Okay, they can just be allowed on this capacity. And along with that, it gives you some additional features like advanced AI capabilities, advanced data flows, XML endpoint capabilities, multi-geo deployment abilities, right? Paginated report. There are a lot of other features available. It also gives you more data refreshes, more data limits, right? And it also allows you to install the report server, which was the on-premise server platform, right? So this premium capacity basically is used for larger enterprises with larger, heavier workloads. Now the problem here is, if somebody is in the Pro, let's say somebody has a Pro license, and the data sets are small. They don't have to really upgrade to this premium, but they want to avail those advanced features like the AI capabilities, the data flows. What do they do now? They cannot buy premium because it's very expensive for them. So for that, last year Microsoft introduced this Power BI premium per user licensing, which gives you exactly everything that Power BI Pro does, but along with that, it gives you some additional capabilities, the one I have mentioned here at the bottom, right? So it's like a pro user with advanced capabilities, like there are advanced pro users, right? And you pay $20 per user per month. So it caters to all different requirements, what is available, what your organization may need, right? Let me show you quickly one more thing, the last but not the least. So what happens is whenever you create workspaces in Power BI service, let me just show you something very quickly. So if I click on my workspaces and say create a workspace can be of different types. Okay, you can create a workspace which can be of type pro. A workspace can be flagged as a premium, can be flagged as a premium per capacity. So what you see on this slide on the left hand side, these are the types of workspaces. Okay, and on the top, what you see is the licenses, the users with these kind of licenses. So let's say I have created a workspace which is of type pro. The pro license holder can access it. The premium per user license holder can access it, but not the free users. Okay. If you have a workspace which is premium per user, only the premium per user license holder can access it. Not anybody, nobody else can access it, right? Obviously, free users cannot access it. If you have a premium per capacity, let's say a workspace is created on the dedicated nodes, and I have told you that everybody, because then everybody can access it. So the free users can obviously access it, and you are a pro user already, so you can access that. The premium user can also access that. So this is nice, interesting metrics which helps you to understand how the licensing works over here. So yeah, keeping in time constant, like that's pretty much it from my side. So I'm going to be quickly hand it over to Natalie again. She will do the closing notes, and I think there's another thing that she wants to tell you about another product that CRG has, which is called BI for Dynamics. So over to you, Natalie, and thank you once again, everybody.
Thank you so much, Saurabh. That was just a perfect introduction to using Power BI. And as you can all see, Power BI is nothing short of powerful. I'm sure everyone on this call, no strangers to trying to consolidate data, format reports in Excel, PowerPoint, however you can do it, and it is not easy. Power BI makes just such light work of these visuals, but the options available to help reveal insights is just nothing short of amazing. And Saurabh just barely scratched the surface of what's possible for you. The more you play around in Power BI, the more you will discover. And when you get the reports you need, you can save them, you can share them. You'll never have to set them up again or update them. So, learning what's possible and then starting to play around will be a huge time saver in the future. It's really going to be able to pull data from multiple sources, which means it can be the one unifying thread of intelligence across all of your business data. So just extraordinary. And obviously, we are huge Power BI fans, but a common question we are asked about is the actual data transformation part. How do we get that data together? How do we create that warehouse in order to fuel Power BI? And are there any canned dashboards in Power BI or anything that I don't have to set up can kind of get things started for me, specifically for Microsoft Dynamics ERP solutions and our clients? So I definitely wanted to introduce you to BI for Dynamics. It's a very unique solution available that offers data warehouse automation and the largest library of out-of-the-box Power BI and Excel reports, all built on your Dynamics ERP table. So this is available for Dynamics AX, NAV, Dynamics 365 Business Central, and F&O. And basically, if you're ready to start reporting, but don't have time or the resources to invest in getting your kind of Dynamics data packaged up and mapped, the solution handles all of that for you. BI4 Dynamics also offers a free 30-day trial. So if you're interested, visit our website. All right, so in the interest of time, we haven't had very many questions come in, but maybe Saurabh, you can just get, here's one good one. Are there limitations to data size?
Okay. Yes. So if you remember the licensing slide I was showing, so if you are a pro user, okay, and if you have the workspace which are pro types, there's a limitation because these are on shared capacity. So the limitation is for each of the workspaces, it's a 10 GB of data that you can load. When I say 10 GB, it's like the data sets and reports all together. So entire content in a specific workspace cannot be more than 10 GB. You can have multiple workspaces. There's no limit to that, but each workspace can be of 10 GB. And within the workspace, when you upload data sets or data models, each one of them cannot be more than 1 GB, but you can have multiple data sets across multiple workspaces. But for each of these objects, there's a limit. But when you go to Power BI Premium per capacity, like we have dedicated nodes, then the limit is little higher. Like you have 100 TB of data that could be loaded over there, and that's like more than enough. And it also allows you more data refreshes. Like in premium capacity, you can do I think around 48 refreshes per day. In the pro world, you can only do 8 refreshes per day. So these are some of the data limits available. uh, right now this is constrained because of the shared capacity thing that we have. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I just want to thank everybody for joining today. As I mentioned at the beginning of this session, we will be hosting more of these sessions to help get you comfortable in Power BI and just start using it, because the more you use it, the easier it gets and the more you will get out of it. So thank you so much, Saurabh, for that excellent presentation, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day.